The night before Menglong's death, the city pulsed under a restless drizzle. Shanghai's lights flickered like nervous eyes, and the hotel where he spent his final hours stood as a glass monolith reflecting secrets no one was ready to face. For days, the public obsessed over CCTV leaks, the missing hard drive, and the mysterious cleaner who whispered about blood. But now, a new name was quietly burning its way through encrypted chat rooms, the woman in red. It began with a text. One single message, time-stamped 11:43 p.m., recovered from Menglong's encrypted phone before it was wiped. "You made it here?" He typed. "Yes. Same place. Don't tell anyone." She replied. The thread ended there. No goodbye. No emoji. Just silence. The hotel's lobby security footage, the same file investigators once said was corrupted, was finally decrypted last week. Frame by frame, the footage bled out its story. At 11:47 p.m., a woman in a scarlet trench coat stepped through the revolving doors. She kept her head low beneath a wide-brimmed hat, her gloved fingers clutching a phone that glowed like a ghost in her hand. The concierge looked up, half-smiled, then froze as if recognizing her. She never signed in. She never looked at the cameras. She went straight to the East Wing elevator, the one that led to Menglong's private floor. According to the timestamp, she disappeared into the elevator exactly 2 minutes before Yu's keycard last registered movement. When he opened his door at 11:49 p.m., she was already inside. The cleaner's confession had already shaken the internet, claiming she found traces of blood and a perfume that wasn't his. Investigators dismissed it as hysteria. But when Yu's backup phone, recovered from his car's glove box, was unlocked, a string of deleted texts appeared under a contact labeled R. "They told me not to see you again. Then they know. Be careful. If anything happens, tell them it wasn't an accident." The last message was sent 8 days before his death. No one ever found R, until now. Hotel staff were evasive. The night clerk was transferred the next morning. The elevator operator resigned without explanation. When asked why, he simply said, "Because she looked straight at me through the camera." That line went viral. The she he referred to became an urban legend, a phantom woman in red whose reflection appeared in security mirrors even when the real corridor showed no one walking through. The journalist who published the quote vanished 3 days later. Her last message read, "I saw her face. She's not who we thought." At the center of the sealed investigation report was a single photograph. It showed Menglong's bathroom mirror fogged with condensation. Scrawled in the mist, faintly visible under ultraviolet light, were the letters RL, and stuck to the edge of the mirror was a torn Polaroid, Menglong smiling beside a woman in a red dress, both of them standing before a film set light. The studio was identified as Yunhua Stage 12, the same location where Yu had been shooting his final, unfinished project Silent Fragments. The woman matched the description of Renling, an assistant director fired from the production 2 months prior for breach of confidentiality. She hadn't been seen since. The infamous missing hard drive was thought to be lost forever, but when fragments of it were decrypted, one file survived. It was labeled R_recording_1.wave. 32 seconds long. Yu's voice was shaky, whispering. "If they find this, it's already too late." She said they're watching from the mirrors. She said, "They know what we filmed. Tell her I kept the promise. I didn't show them the tape." Then, faintly, a woman's voice in the background. "It's not the tape they want, Menglong. It's you." The clip ends with the door closing, then static. A week later, forums exploded with screenshots of Yu's recovered script from Silent Fragments. In scene 29, a character named Ren warns the protagonist, "Once you were red, they'll never let you leave." Fans believed the film wasn't fiction, it was a coded retelling of what Yu and Renling uncovered during production. Something about the film's sponsor, a private media consortium with ties to powerful investors, and a secret documentary buried within it. Critics dismissed it as fan fantasy until a photograph surfaced showing the same consortium's logo on the hotel's conference folders. Why would the same company that funded Silent Fragments book Yu's suite the night he died? Then came the taxi driver, Hu Chong. He claimed to have dropped off a woman in red near the hotel around 11:40 p.m. Her perfume, he said, smelled like orchid smoke. She paid in cash and asked if his dashcam recorded passengers. When he said yes, she offered him extra to delete the ride. He didn't. The footage clearly shows her reflection. sharp eyes glistening, mouth trembling. At the end of the clip, she whispers, "He shouldn't have opened the message." Digital analysts traced the GPS signal from Yu's phone. It pinged once more after his official time of death, at 2:17 a.m., nearly 2 hours later, from a device matching Renling's number. The signal came not from the hotel but from a warehouse near the Yangpu River, where burned film reels were later found. Among the debris, investigators discovered a melted pendant shaped like a red lotus. The same pendant Yu wore in his final interview, when he was asked if he believed in fate. He had smiled then, tired but sincere. Fate? Only if you write it yourself. During a private inquiry session, the hotel's elevator operator said, trembling, the camera showed them entering together. But when I looked through the glass in real time, I saw only him. He swore the footage and his eyes didn't match. In the recording, the woman in red walks beside Yu, brushing his shoulder. In reality, according to him, Yu was speaking to someone invisible. He quit the next morning and fled the city. Inside Yu's penthouse, behind a dresser, detectives found a half-finished painting. It depicted a woman draped in red silk, her face turned away, her hand clutching a phone. In the mirror's reflection, a man's outline appeared, faceless, fading. Forensics later found the paint contained a rare metallic pigment used only in Silent Fragments art department. The painting wasn't random. It was connected to the film. Some fans believe Yu was recreating a deleted scene rumored to have been banned after censors intervened. That reel was called Scene Zero. Its tagline, "She wears red so he won't forget." 2 months after the case went cold, a USB drive appeared in a parcel addressed to an entertainment journalist in Beijing. Inside was a file titled The Final Cut. Its last page contained a handwritten note in Yu's script. If you read this, they found me. Don't come back. We're black this time. Just when the internet began to quiet, another clip leaked, only 3 seconds long. It showed the hotel corridor moments before police arrived. Yu's door was ajar. A faint reflection moved across the glass wall, a flash of red fabric fluttering out of view. Then, a single hand pressed against the lens, smearing it with something dark. The frame froze on static. From the silence, a faint female voice whispered, "You weren't supposed to see this." Months later, during Yu's public memorial, mourners lined the streets holding white chrysanthemums. Cameras panned across the crowd, capturing thousands of tear-streaked faces. But in one frame, broadcast live, a woman in red stood under an umbrella, head bowed. She wasn't crying. She was smiling. When the footage was replayed in slow motion, her lips seemed to move. Some lip readers claimed she mouthed a single word, promise. Security rushed to the spot minutes later. The umbrella lay on the ground. The woman was gone. All that remained was the faint trace of orchid perfume drifting through the rain. To this day, no one knows who the woman in red truly was, a lover, a ghost, or the final witness to Yu Menglong's truth. But those who were there that night swear by one thing. Every mirror in that hotel still fogs with 2 silhouettes, though only one man ever checked in. For weeks after the first leak, authorities refused to acknowledge the woman's existence. Every official report still described Yu Menglong's death as an isolated accident. Yet, off-record whispers in the police archives hinted otherwise. Someone had already filed her under a code name, Subject 47R, and labeled her file missing, presumed deceased. But that didn't match the new footage that surfaced on a dark web server 2 nights ago. The clip began with a shaky timestamp, 2:23 a.m., roughly an hour after Yu was declared dead. The same hotel's East Wing corridor came into focus, dimly lit, every frame breathing with static. At first, the hallway was empty. Then, a shadow glided past the camera, a woman in red, her heels silent against the marble. In her hand, she carried a small silver drive. She looked up toward the camera, and for half a second, her face was visible, tired, tear-streaked, but determined. Investigators froze the frame. Facial recognition software matched her to Renling, Yu Menglong's former assistant director. When the leak reached journalists, the original uploader vanished within hours. His account was deleted, IP traced to a rented apartment in Wuhan. Police who searched the room later reported finding scorch marks on the floor and a faint smell of burned perfume. A private investigator named Lin Shou, who had followed the case since the beginning, revealed that he'd been contacted by an anonymous woman days before the footage surfaced. She used a voice modulator, but her tone was unmistakably trembling. "They're still watching," she said. "Tell them I tried to warn him." Tell them he never wanted it to end like that. She hung up before Lin could ask her name. When the call log was traced, it came from a prepaid phone bot in Nanjing, less than 2 kilometers from a river pier, the same pier where a red trench coat was later found floating near the reeds, its lining torn, the label soaked beyond recognition. The coat was sent for analysis. On the inside pocket, forensic experts found a folded scrap of paper, room 1203, Yunhua Studios. Reporters rushed there the next morning. The studio had long been abandoned since production on Silent Fragments shut down, but the air still smelled faintly of dust, film chemicals, and electricity. Inside room 1203, under a draped spotlight, they found a wall covered in photographs, behind-the-scenes stills of Menglong laughing with crew members. But someone had scratched out every other face with red marker except his and hers. Pinned beside the photos was a USB cable, its tip charred. Next to it lay a handwritten label. She wore red so they'd forget her face. The phrase matched a line from Scene 0, the mysterious deleted reel that both Yu and Renling had fought to keep in the movie. That night, another leak emerged, this time, an audio file titled Hotel Night Raw. In the background, rain hissed against glass. Then came a whisper, Renling's voice. They said I had to meet him, to stop him. But when I saw his eyes, he already knew. A soft cry, footsteps, and the faint click of a camera shutter followed. Experts later confirmed the recording's ambient echo matched the acoustics of the East Wing corridor. Someone was documenting everything. 2 days later, an anonymous courier delivered an envelope to Shanghai News Central. Inside were 5 printed photographs. The first showed the hotel lobby at 11:47 p.m., the woman in red walking in. The second, the elevator mirror reflecting both her and Menglong side by side. The third, the same mirror, but only Yu's reflection remained. The fourth captured her leaving the hotel at 12:03 a.m., clutching what looked like a camera battery. The final photo showed her boarding a taxi, looking straight into the lens as if she expected someone to take the shot. On the back of that last image was a note in thin black ink. He told me to keep it safe. It's not over. Digital analysts enhanced the reflection on the taxi window. In the blurred neon glow, Menglong's silhouette appeared faintly behind her, though by that moment he was already dead upstairs. A retired security technician from the hotel, who agreed to speak only under the alias Old Chin, confessed something chilling. The East Wing cameras, he said, were wired through a private monitoring system separate from the hotel's main server, installed by outside contractors weeks before Menglong checked in. The contractors never returned to remove it. The backup feed recorded directly to a server hidden in the building's maintenance basement. When Old Chin revisited the logs after the incident, every file between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. was gone. But one folder remained, mislabeled maintenance_logs_0405. Inside, the footage showed not the hallway, but the reflection of it, as if the camera had been filming from inside the mirrors themselves. In those reversed images, the woman in red appeared clearer, more solid, while Yu's outline flickered like interference. Old Chin handed a copy of the file to a local journalist. 2 days later, he suffered a sudden electrical accident in his apartment. His copy was confiscated. The journalist's hard drive caught fire. Meanwhile, an ex-crew member from Silent Fragments stepped forward anonymously, confirming that during production, Menglong had grown obsessed with mirror imagery. He said reflections showed what we hide from ourselves, the source wrote. Renling was the only one who understood. When investigators cross-checked Renling's financial records, they found a recent bank withdrawal matching the payment Menglong made for a private storage unit near Suhui. Inside, they found reels of film labeled Project R. The tapes were warped by heat, but one fragment survived, a frame showing Menglong and Renling standing in a mirrored corridor identical to the hotel's east wing. At the bottom corner of the frame, faint handwriting was visible. One of us will disappear when the other looks away. Rumors now swirl that the woman in red never left the hotel at all, that the person seen boarding the taxi was merely her reflection caught on another lens. Theories multiply across underground networks, that Yu's film had tapped into forbidden research, that Silent Fragments was more than a movie, a project exploring human perception and mirror physics. Whatever the truth, every attempt to digitally restore the footage ends the same way, the image freezes on her eyes, and then the screen bleeds red before shutting down. Officially, Renling remains missing. Unofficially, investigators still receive anonymous emails from an account titled Red Promise. Each message contains a single line from Menglong's last script. If you see her reflection, it's already too late. And always, attached at the end, the same sound file plays, a quiet sigh, the distant hum of rain, and the faint whisper of a woman saying, "You still think I was the last person he texted?" Then the audio ends, replaced by the soft rustle of silk and the echo of retreating heels. To this day, no one has located where that recording was made. But one thing remains consistent. Every time the file is played, the screen flickers, and for a heartbeat, a crimson silhouette flicks across the reflection of the listener's own face.